So this next question comes to us from somebody who's in the mobile app space. And there's been a proliferation of mobile apps out there. And certainly there's still opportunity, even though the number of apps is ridiculously large. I think it's over 1 million or something like that on each platform. But there's always new things and new problems to be solved. And there's really nothing magical about a mobile application. A lot of times when you think about the functionality of your mobile app, you think of it from the interface perspective. Well, as it turns out, patents on GUIs are really hard to get. There are design patents and things that you can do, but most interface stuff has appeared before for some other purpose or for some other reason. So the GUI is not a great place to interface. And there are patents that are done in these areas. It's just that part of the patent office is very stingy about allowing patents. So the further you get into the bowels of how your software interacts with the hardware of the mobile device, the more likely you are to get patentable subject matter. Or sometimes it has to do with the way that you're gathering data or checking data or interacting with the cloud or the back end, and how that all is moving around to support the functionality in your mobile application. Because often when clients come to me, they're very focused on what happens on that screen. And you really need to dig deeper. So my advice always is bring those people that worked on the development of the app and solve some of the problems a few layers down to enable that great functionality that you see in the GUI. And that's where you're going to find the best patentable subject matter and have the highest likelihood of getting something through. Especially if it relates to integration with any of the sensors in the phone. So I worked on one last week, and my advice to them is they use the accelerometers, as a gyroscope to figure out orientation of the phone to do something that related to the functionality of what they were doing. So anytime you're using those sensors within the phone, and the phones are fabulously filled with all kinds of sensors, and new ones are coming all the time. So anything that leverages that technology is great. Things related to security, things related to machine learning or AI, those are all great things to go after. Ways that you might improve the performance of your app, those are all great things to try and protect because everybody's going to want great performance. Often it's not the phone in and of itself, it's how the phone interacts with the cloud or a back-end server or maybe other phones or some other system. That's a great way to find patentable subject matter when you're talking about multiple devices talking to each other and multiple servers talking to each other. Those are very good places to find patentable subject matter. The patent office loves application of machine learning and AI today. So anything that can leverage some sort of learning algorithm or AI is a very hot area right now. Anything that's on the cutting edge of the hardware, like they're coming out with faster processors all the time that have AI processing units in them and stuff like that. Anything that's kind of at that cutting edge of the hardware or is using the hardware in any sort of unique way, right? I had a client that was using the microphone in the phone, not just for telephone calls, but was using it to sense some weird stuff, right? Anything like that. But you have to get beyond the mere functionality of the app or how it is presented to the user. Because there's very little typically there. You have to get deep into the bowels of the mobile phone or the overall system and how those things are interacting, and that's how you're going to get to your most patentable subject matter. So a good patent prosecutor will be able to walk you through that and dig down to these things, hopefully. And sometimes what you can do is, there are tools out there that'll give you an allowance prediction for different patent applications before you file them, and we're working on technology like that, because you'll write it up like a GUI and you'll find out that you have a 20% allowance rate. You write it up, talking about these two databases where you're merging the data in this particular algorithm to enable that functionality in the GUI, and all of a sudden you have an 80% allowance rate. So it really does matter how you stage these things to have a good chance of getting your patent through. So I hope that helps, answers the question. If you have any follow-up or further questions, please put them in the comments below and we'll get to it in a future video. Thank you.